Welcome to Board Game Empire. We're going to be showing you a quick overview and review of Disrupt. We are playing with the prototype. This is coming to Kickstarter very soon. And so we're going to just do a brief overview of it, and then we'll give you our thoughts on it. So this is a economic asymmetric worker placement game. You are basically trying to gain the most money to win the game by buying and selling, hopefully, the stocks the projects, I guess you should say, stocks in the projects that will go to get fully developed and be worth something by the end of the game. Not all of them will fund or be worth something. So a big part of the game is helping the projects you want to fund using your deck that comes with your player. They all have variable powers, so each person's decks of cards are totally different. So you're using your cards to your advantage to hinder other projects while helping your project that you have the most money in. So we played a 3-player game, and I will say it seemed like it was really well fit for 3 players. We haven't played 2 players, but I think it would be more fun with 3 players, I'm guessing. But you do have to play with there's the market leader and the startupper. Those are 2 that have to be in the game. And then if you're only playing a 2-player game, you use the deck, only the cards from the other 2 decks that are the worker placement cards that have this little symbol on the top. So you can place your worker there during the worker placement phase. So you take all those cards of those and make a deck. Or if you have 3 players, you take just those cards out of the one deck that's not included in the game. And those are the BPO and the Angel Investor. So the 3rd player will have to play with one of those 2 characters, and then the 4th one would just be a dummy character, basically, that's only there for the worker placement cards. So you have more actions that you can do. You will always have, when you don't have that 4th player, you will always have a new card here every round. If you have and I think we didn't play 2 players, but I assume it's in 1 deck. I don't know if it's 2 decks if you only have 1. I'm not sure. We didn't play a 2-player. So basically, each player starts with a credit card, and that's how you tally. You just spin these dials to keep up with how much money you have available. You have 3 workers. This is the market leader workers. The orange is the BPO. The white ones, which we don't have out here, are the angel investors. And then you've got the startuppers. The market leader has more of a take that deck. That's the one I played. It was fun to play. You're basically most of it, that deck is hurting other players. You're stealing resources, you're taking cubes off of their projects, things like that. There are a few that where it helps you, but mostly you're hindering their progress. The startupper and also the market leader starts with the most cash. The startupper starts, I think, with the most shares of projects, I believe.
Yeah.
So they start with the least amount of cash, but they have more projects. So whereas the market leader, although I had a lot of cash, I had to buy a lot of projects to get, which was easy since I had so much cash. I was able to buy quite a bit of projects. The angel investor and the BPO, they're more, I guess, kind of not supportive, but they kind of have a mid-range amount of money and a decent amount of stocks. They get a decent amount of stocks as well, but they are just basically, the BPO is trying to sell their services. They have a lot of the worker placement cards. But I will say, Quentin never played any of those. They're hard to get the resources to play them from what it seemed. Or maybe he just wasn't trying to collect the resources for those. But luckily, we didn't use this card that much. I think Quentin used them a few times. I always stuck with these tracks here during that worker placement phase. So you're starting with, there's 6 projects you're trying to get funded. The Meeple Book, Card Flicks, and Dice Coin, they're like the starter projects. They're not automatically funded, but they do start with 3 cubes. They're just missing the yellow marketing cube. So you have to make sure and get a yellow marketing cube on those before the end of the game for those to fund. Whereas these start out with no cubes over here, and these 3, and they will be moving each round till they get to the end where they're basically going up against Card Flicks always goes up against Board Tube, Dice Coin goes up against Uternium, Meeple Book goes up against...
Actually, I got to pick, remember,
Miniature Prime.
Which...
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they had to be in a certain order.
No.
Okay, well, he got to choose which ones. I thought... No, I think they had to be...
No.
You got to choose which ones moved first.
No, I got to choose where I put them.
I don't think so. They all... No. They have to go up against certain ones.
Oh, okay.
You got to choose which ones you placed your... what are those called? Those... I forget what those are called. Parameter tokens.
Okay.
You got to choose those. But yeah, the same 2 always go up against each other at the end. However, the start-upper gets to control which one moves first, and they also get to place these hidden parameter tokens face down that will decide which cube is added or subtracted to each of these projects at the end of the game. So only they know that information, and it could really affect the game on whether something gets funded or not, because by default, once the projects pass over to here, no cubes can be removed. However, the parameter tokens can remove tokens, even if it's the last token of that color, because here you can remove all but the last token of a certain color. So over in this area. So if there was only 1 yellow cube left, even if you had a card that said it can be removed, you can't remove it. However, over here, the parameter tokens can remove that last token. That's part of the in-game scoring. So you're just working towards trying to get a design, development, and market cubes on there. And then at the end of the game, they will be gaining these red market cubes, which determines basically which one wins, I guess I should say, and how much, because you get so much millions per amount of red cubes that are beside them, is the best way to explain it. And that's in-game money that you get added onto your money that you already have. You also get in-game money over here, the brand equity track. If you make it to these top 4, you get money for a certain amount of resources you have left. So if you make it to the top, you get 1 million for every 2 resources that you have left in your play area. And there's 3 different resources. There's the likes, I'm horrible at remembering names. There's a thumbs up, the little cog, and the light bulb. I can't remember the technical terms for them.
The light bulb's the inventor.
But if you're able to get up to that top 1, for every 2 of those, no matter what they are, you have left at the end of the game, you get 1 million. Second place gets 1 million for every 3, and so on and so forth. And once you're up there, you cannot be passed or taken off. Once you're up at the top, you've got that spot. So you're going to be placing your 3 workers, taking turns throughout the game, placing it on these areas where you can gain resources by selling or buying particular projects. You can get resources by just landing here, going here, you get a light token. You can play cards, draw cards. You can discard cards to move up the brand equity track. You can go here, and wherever you're at on this brand equity track, you can collect any of the rewards that are on the spot you're on or lower, so you get to choose one. So if you're here, you could choose any of these. If you're up here, you could choose any of these. You're going to start down here at the bottom, and you're just going to be moving up. 2 people can be on these slots. However, only 1 token can be on once you get on this upper part of the track. So you're going to be placing your worker, and then you just keep moving it down until it goes as far down as it can. But there's going to be less and less of these spots, because once, say I went on that track first, Anthony wants to go on that track as well, he's only going to get 3 actions he gets to do, whereas I got 4 because I went first. And then each time a new person takes that track, they're going to get less and less actions. But you get to take as many actions as you can on that track, as long as there's still spots available to go onto. So you got all these, and if there's a worker placement card on one of these slots, or both, you could choose one of those to put your worker placement on as well. Only 1 can go on these. You get the reward on the bottom, and you have to pay the resources to the owner of that card if it's an actual player in the game. Then once that's done, once everyone's placed their workers, then you go through moving the project or projects over. If it's the beginning of the game, you're only going to be moving 1. One of them starts on the board. You would be moving another one over and moving that one over. So each round, they're going to move 1 more slot over. At the end of the game, you'll have all 3 of them at the end, and that's basically when the game is over, that round. You're also going to be, if there's cards here that were played, you have to pay resources to play these cards. You look at the little icons, and then you affect whatever projects is in that column. You'll be adding or taking away cubes. People get money for if they have any stocks. If there's projects in here at the moment, if they own that project, they get $1 million per share they own, or $2 million based on what the card says. There's ones where you can pay resources to put cubes on them. I think that one's right here. So the iconography is in the book. So it's you just got to learn the iconography as you play. Then after that phase is over, the last phase is the event phase. You'll be turning over an event card. And these really change the game a lot, because basically they determine, the public, what stocks they're going to buy that round. We are going to be placing, like you could see these match our tokens in our rows. We're going to be putting stocks up for sale, and we only get the money for them if the public buys them, or if one of our opponents buys one if they took the sell action or buy action, and they choose to buy one of the shares that we put down for sale, we get whatever the amount is on the top of that column. However, you can get more money for it, possibly, if the public buys it, because these cards influence how much you're going to get. So some of them can double it. Like that was how I won the game. I was able to peek. There's one of these actions where you get to peek at the event card. It's this one right here. So you want to do that track first near the end of the game if you can. They didn't realize what I was doing. I was having like a fire sale with my stocks and strategically putting for sale on my row. And I got double the amount. Whoever had the lowest had each 5 different stocks that were selling for the lowest amount got double. So I made sure I was the lowest and was just hoping, crossing my fingers, they didn't catch on and sold stocks and for lower than me, which I got lucky and they didn't. But most of them is where they buy all the shares in the 4 million column of a certain stock. So they buy a certain stock each time. So it's a little bit of luck if you don't know what that card is, because you're just guessing, and you're hoping when you put them down for sale that yours is going to be purchased soon, because it adds to your money and allows you to buy more stocks or save it for in-game, because the person with the most money wins. When you do go on that little eye symbol, you also get to look at one of the bear or bull tokens that will be hidden at the same time. So you kind of know also in-game whether this is going to be affected by bear or bull market and possibly go up or down for the market price. So that also helps you. So that's a very, very powerful action to take, and I made sure I took it quite a bit. I don't think weren't utilizing that much, so I got lucky on that. But I know when we play again, it'll be a whole different game. I wouldn't get away with the fire sale and win the game that way. Because I thought I was losing. That was my only chance if that went my way, and it did. I couldn't believe that I actually beat them. So, well, Anthony also bought a couple of my shares in that same round, so that's actually what won the game for me. But so I think that basically that's it in a nutshell. It seems complex, but it's really not.
Did you mention how you can move these?
Oh, this is the social, I forget what it's called, the social hype track. So you can also, there's actions you can take to move certain projects up and down on this track. And the reason this one's important is because it's a tiebreaker in some instances. It basically, over here, when the public's choosing which, I think it's when we're choosing which stocks to buy, that it affects that. And if there's a tie between two players, the brand equity track determines the tiebreaker. Who's ever higher up on that track is the one that gets to that will get to sell their stocks to the public. And I'm pretty sure I covered. I mean, this was a very brief overview. So, but if you like economic games, we really enjoyed this game. This is a fun game. It seems like there's a lot to it, but there really isn't. We did, because it is a new game, so we're kind of pioneers, so it took us longer to learn this game because, it is a prototype.
4 hours.
We did have a video we could watch of a gentleman, thankfully, that did it before us. And but we still had to learn it ourselves as well and read through this printed out book that we printed out. So it does take a little bit to learn, but once you've played around, it totally makes sense and you've got it, and it flows very well. So what did you think of it?
I really liked it. I think that this is probably one of the best economic games that we played. There's a few that we played, like I think Smartphone. There's also Stockpile, and there's several other ones, but I would say that this is on par with those. Those are the ones I think when I think of economic games, because those are the ones we've enjoyed the most. But this, I really do like the design. Very simplistic. There's actually not a lot of components, but a lot of strategy at the same time. That being said, the rulebook could been a little bit more fine-tuned because some of the stuff we questioned that really doesn't, like this section here, it doesn't say if you could skip over or if you have to do 2 to pass it. Like there are certain things that as gamers we know because we play plenty of games, but I think people that are new to the gaming industry would not figure out some of those actions that people that play a lot of games would know. But great illustrations. I like how they're using more modern illustrations, like the double exposure, the collage, some of the stuff that as a YouTuber or people that do social influence would recognize. The credit cards are really cool. They could be a little better. They kind of, the numbers are hard to where they don't stay. So I think they could be tightened a little so they don't move so much. At times we had trouble with that, but
it's a prototype.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Oh yeah, that too. The mechanics, I really did like the mechanics. She had to take that pretty much character, but there is a lot of take that and the aspect that you're able to kind of manipulate the board in many different ways. So pretty much everyone does have a little of a take that factor into it because of the cards and the movement of stuff. So we like take that and we love economic games. So this is really fit our gaming style. Replayability, I think this is really high replayable. I think I'm guessing they'll have stretch goals, which would make it a little bit better. And then also when expansions come about, I think that this is going to be phenomenal. But overall total, I'm giving this like a 9.5 out of 10. I do think that this is going to be one of our favorite, and it's going to, elevate as we play more and more. But just a phenomenal game. So, what did you think?
I totally enjoyed this game. So did Quentin. Quentin also played with us, but he's not in this review. But we asked him what his score was, and he said it was a
9.8.
Yeah, he loved this game. Loved it. And I think, like Anthony said, the components are really cool. I love the little project cards they have and how they have similar names of companies to big companies that like the Meeple Book, Card Flicks, Board Tube. So it's a play on companies that you already are well known. So that makes it more fun, and it's just a really. I like the aesthetics of this game. It's really cool. But mostly, I love the way it plays, and it is very strategic.
Oh, yeah.
And I can see how each time you play it, you're going to have different strategies, because in the first game, you're learning the typography, you're learning how this works, how the end game works, because each phase is unique in its own way and works in its own way. So until you've played it through once, you're really not going to know the most effective strategy. Like, I could have played a lot better for the end game than I did, but I didn't really fully understand that until we got to it, and then then it clicked. I understood how certain things affected that. So it was, and then this area, it took a few rounds for it to really sink in, for me to understand what was really going on here. So it clicked again. And so your first game will be more of a learning curve game, but after that, your strategy, you're going to have, we would love to play this game again.
I will say one thing, because of that factor, if you are playing someone that has not played it before, it truly is unfair. Because with this game, it's once you play one time, you kind of get more of the strategic element to it. I think the more plays, this is a game, I think that the more plays you have, and you play people that play that like one or two times, you're going to have a way huge more advantage. Right. So this is a game that probably will have to play with the same gaming group, or someone who's played multiple times.
Or just play multiple times with that person.
Yeah.
Just play once and then play again soon. And then it would be an even playing field. But yeah,
it'll take a while though.
It's a great game. We loved it. I had a feeling we were going to like it as soon as we saw what kind of game it was, but once we started playing it, even Quentin was like, "Wow, I really like this game." He had so much fun. I would definitely give this game a 9. Yeah. And this is the prototype, so I can only imagine how much more they're going to add and improve on it once the final version comes out. So, because the prototype's already great, in my opinion. I like all the little, the credit card to me is just a cool little, it's just a fun little way of keeping up with the money you have. But it's a great game. I would be shocked if this didn't fund, because it's by a developer that's made a lot of popular games already, and it's just, I think it already has a lot of followers on it. So you should definitely follow this and check it out. And it's not just because I'm not saying that because they sent us this game. It genuinely is a fun game. So did you have anything else you wanted to say?
I definitely do think that this will be in the top of 100 BGG, if not in the top 30, 20. Economic games don't seem to hit the top 10 often, but I do think it'll be in the top 20, top 30.
Yeah, it's just a great game. We will put the link in the description so you can follow the Kickstarter. By the time we put this video out, it'll probably be starting in a few days, right?
Yeah, the 16th.
Yeah, so starting on the 16th of May. So it's definitely check this out. If you like economic games, worker placement, it's just a unique take on this type of game. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully this helped you to decide whether this is something you'd want to add to your collection. Even if you're on the fence, you should still check out the Kickstarter, because they're going to have cool, even better examples of the game. Probably how they have the cool animated graphics and things, and you get to see how much they've changed since the prototype come out. I'm excited to see that and what their stretch goals are. Again, we will put the link in the description. Please give this video a like. Feel free to leave a comment. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If so, please subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you next time.